What do you think? How pretty does that look? Morning guys. Today I'm going to continue with the hand plane thing. What we're doing. This thing barely needs any restoration at all. So this has got that like a horseshoe little bracket there, and this is screwed onto the actual body of the plane at the bottom there, and that little horseshoe fits into that slot. Can you see that slot there? So that horseshoe fits into that slot, and it fits there loosely, like it turns. It's not too loose, it's fairly tight, but there's a little bit of play, but not much. But it spins freely. So as you screw this in, this screw goes in and out of the body of the plane, and as it goes in and out, because this is attached to it, the frog follows in and out. There's really, in my opinion, and maybe people will have different opinions, but in my opinion, there is really no need for the frog to be moving all the time. It's not something that you move. You set it once and you leave it. You know, you shouldn't be messing with the frog. So you see sometimes, if you look online, you see sometimes that the soles of these things, they have a crack right there and another crack. I'll show you with a Sharpie where the cracks happen. There and there. Can you see it? Now those cracks happen for a very specific reason. The frog sits on top of the mouth. There's a mouth there. The frog sits on top. The angle of the frog in relation to the sole going down is 45 degrees. The mouth, the back side of the mouth, also has 45 degrees, which is in line with the frog. So that 45 degrees starts from here and it goes all the way down the frog into the mouth and out to the other side at the bottom. So it's kind of half sharp. It's not really sharp, but it's kind of, it ends up like in a sharp end. As that sits there with the bevel down, okay, and that is screwed down the frog to the sole, and this is sitting there, and it's got the pressure being put on it by this. This is spring loaded. Okay, this is not flat. It's spring loaded. So when you start pushing this down on it, it puts pressure on this, and that pushes the iron tightly against the frog, which of course pushes it tightly, the iron, not the frog, the iron against the mouth. Alright, so that part is done. I'll put that together with that. I'll wait for the first glue up to cure before I hit it with the second one. It won't, to try to keep it all in line and straight with two breaks in it, it wouldn't work. It'll be too hard, so I'll just wait. What a difference. What an absolute difference it makes. Just a bit of wire brushing. And that would have taken me a whole of, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. I might show you how I do these so you see how I grab them. Because they're so tiny, the wire brush will just fling them across the room if they slips out of your hand. So I'll show you how I grab them so that they don't slip out of my hand. And I've never lost one yet. And I've restored every plane in that cabinet up there. So I'll do that. I'll move the camera over there. A lot better than it was. No rust on it. I finished cleaning it on the bench. Nice and round. Just the way I like it. Is this going to affect the performance of the plane in any way? Absolutely not. It will do nothing to enhance the performance. However, when I'm handling the plane, when I'm touching it, even if I just grab it like that, it'll just feel a lot more comfortable, because like this one will also be round everywhere. Everything has been rounded off. The iron, the chip breaker, not that because that's chrome. All the corners of the plane, everything, I've rounded that off completely. And this one now is going the same way. So far I've done this. I'm going to do this, very sharp. I'm going to do this all the way around the bottom and the top. This will affect the performance. Rounding off the edges. Well, it looks like I've already done it on this one. Yeah, they're already been rounded. So it makes it, instead of being going straight across like that and then down, sharp, I've rounded that off. So it's a bit more like a ski, like the front of a ski, all the way around, so that when you're planing, the sharp edges aren't going to leave a mark. And I've had that happen before, and that's what prompted me to round all the edges off, all the leading edges, the sides and the front, and even the back. I did the whole thing, so now it's round everywhere. I haven't restored this. I didn't touch this. So that one's done. Now this one. So this is what I use to clean the body of the plane. Like I put it down on a piece of MDF melamine, and then I just rub it until it's all clean. I do all the sides, everything, and I've used this for years, the same piece, the very same piece for years. It doesn't need to be super duper. It started off its life as 120 grit. I seriously doubt it's still 120, but it does a fantastic job of cleaning up my planes. So it just cleans it up, makes it nice and smooth, and I mean smooth. All the edges very, very smooth. That's clean, super, super clean. Ready for taping and then paint. Normally just cut out the little rectangulars here and plug the holes, the threaded holes in there where the frog gets screwed into, but that doesn't need painting today. I'm just painting that little bit there, a little bit on the side, and then the rest, just a bit there, the rest is all painted, so I'm not worried about that. Just laying down a coat all over this and all over the back here. This is the fun part I've been dying to share with you guys at some point. Okay, so what is this? This is 19 mil or 3/4 inch MDF. Or now this is actually chipboard, it's not even MDF. It's chipboard. But it's melamine on both sides. This is what they make parts of kitchens with. So what have I done? I've screwed just a piece of pine. It doesn't have to be square to the edges, nothing. It just has to be firm. So I put some screws in there so that I can chuck it in here in my vise. Give it a bit of a... That's it. Now that doesn't move, like, at all. Then I've got these diamond plates. They cost me here in Australia, I bought them on eBay. They came from China through eBay. They cost me about $7 each. 240 or 250, 500, 1500, 3000. And they just take water. I just give them a squirt of water and they sharpen like no one's business. So I just got one of these. But at work, what I had, you know those little bottles of soap that you just press the pump down and you get soap in your hand and you wash your hands? Well, those little bottles, when you're out of the soap is finished, instead of throwing them out, you put water in them and you put it there. So when you're going to start sharpening, you just go, and the water just squirts on the stone, then you move it to the next one. So it works really good. I haven't done it here. We haven't, forgot all about it. But so I had to know whether I'm grinding on the heel or the toe. Sorry, I'm over here. So to know whether I'm grinding on the heel or the toe, I grab a Sharpie and I colour the whole thing, as in the entire bevel. And then I go to the 240, 250, I think it's 250. Can you see that it's only touching the heel? What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to just follow whatever the iron already has. I'm not going to give you what it should have. I'm going to give you what it already has. Just the heel, where it was rubbing. And that should probably do the whole thing. See that? Bit of water. By the way, I super glued these to the melamine. I really cleaned the melamine really well. I sanded the edges so it's all nice and round. You think it's chipboard, you're using water. No. What I did after, I sprayed clear acrylic all the way around it. Everything that is wood, the chipboard and the one underneath, clear acrylic everywhere. After I glued these on, and so the water doesn't get into there. That is sharp. Okay, gotta get the burr out now. Only takes a couple of passes. Like literally about $5 or $6 I think, or $7. Even in Australia where everything is so expensive, these things are dirt cheap. They're called a honing guide. But this is just, doesn't even look square. To the naked eye, to my naked eye, it doesn't look square at all. It's about a millimeter out. That's how out of square it is. It just followed whatever the angle was. It's a millimeter out. You can just see it. It goes. That needs to be mirror smooth. So when it travels like this, so as the iron is chipping, the chips are coming up here. And you need the chips to be able to just float off, not get jammed in any way. So that needs to be super smooth. So this is how I do it. So now I don't need to grind it down, so I don't need to use any of these, just polisher. I wish you could have, people say, I wish you could have smell-o-vision, so you can smell what I'm cooking. I wish you could have feel-o-vision, so you can feel how smooth this is. Like it's super, super smooth. I don't know if you can, how much you can tell, but it's super smooth. That's where someone's grabbed it with the pliers, just to remove it from here. And it's just rusted a little bit, so I'm gonna put that on the, geez, this is bent. I'm gonna put that on the wire wheel for a sec and bring it back. Can you see it? I don't want any more rust developing, so I'm going to clean that off. And that's how quick it is to fix something that could potentially give you a lot of trouble. You just saw it, it's the same one. It literally took 10 seconds to fix. 10 seconds. And then you give it one of these. No more rust. This is that quick. Thank you, Paul Sellers. This is just, it's the shit. I'm really going to make me a better stool. This is square on a steel frame and it's really hard. I need a round stool. Okay. Can you see how far the frog is? That shiny bit on the bottom? That's how far the frog is. So it has to come all the way so that shiny bit disappears completely. Let's see if you can see it from there. Probably not. Kind of hard to see it from there, but that's the way it's supposed to be. You see the shiny bit there? Completely gone. The frog can be like a baby's hair, a microscopic amount forward of the mouth, but it can't be back. If it's further back, you run a risk, like I was saying, of cracking that there and there. That's because the frog is too far back, so all the pressure of the iron and the lever cap and the chip breaker, because this is spring loaded, all that pressure is it's depositing itself on the edge of the mouth, and the weak points is there and there. That's why you see hand planes with the 2 cracks there. You don't want that. I don't care what anyone says. That's why you get those cracks. Can you see now that I'm putting it together how nicely it's coming along? It's just beautiful. So smooth. Everything is just the paint there is a little bit rough, so I'll just clean that up later. Give this a little bit of an oil. You want that to be able to move very easily, so now it does. It's a lateral adjustment, so when the iron is in there, that round thing, that circle, goes into here, and when you turn this, it pivots over here in that rivet. So when you turn it, it moves of like a fair amount from side to side. What that does, because the iron is in there, can you see that the iron is in there? It moves it. You see it? And what that does is, because it's pivoting up here, what it does is at the bottom, it does this. So if you're hand planing and you want this to be like perfectly parallel with the material, but it's sticking out like that, you move the lever. If this is the side sticking out too much, you move the lever, this thing, move this to the side that is sticking out too much, and by doing that, because it's articulated, it lifts it up, you know, and then you do another pass, and then until you get it just right, in a way, just right. Okay, now, see that? Screw goes on the underside of this. Is the underside of this. So the screw goes in there, or bolt, because now this has been sharpened. You put it across like that in there, and you slide it up so that this cannot touch the tip of that, so it won't damage it. See it? Then you slide it across, and we haven't touched that. I was thinking I got to square that off. It's just no good. I'll do it off camera. I'll square that off. Yeah, that's no good. So what I normally do, when I set them up, 1 millimeter. So this doesn't. This is a chip breaker. It doesn't go all the way to the edge of the iron, to the sharp edge of the iron. Stops short by 1 millimeter. 3 millimeters is 1/8. Okay, so it's 1/3 of 1/8, whatever that is. You guys with the imperial numbers, you know your numbers better than I do. But this is 1 millimeter, no more. If it sticks out too much, then it becomes a lot more difficult to use it, because it's hogging out a lot more material. But 1 millimeter, and then the rest you adjust with this. You make this whole mechanism, the whole thing, just go forward and back with this. So you don't need any more. 1 millimeter. Some people say, oh, 2 millimeters. Some people say, oh, even 3 millimeters, 1/8. No, that's bullshit. No. 1 millimeter, 1/3 of 1/8. Whatever that is in imperial. That's all that I like to have them sticking out, the iron beyond the chip breaker. And this has to be always mirror smooth. Does it affect it majorly? No, but I like to have that, at least this half, not the whole thing, from the tip at the front to the top of the hump, like it is now. It's like, if you could feel it, you would feel that this is like literally like mirror smooth. It looks more like stainless steel. So that when you do, take the chips out with the iron, this is called a chip breaker. What it does, it just breaks it. As it moves, it goes and it just keeps breaking it, and that's why it looks, when you take a shaving, it looks like it's going like a wave, because that just breaks it continuously. So that's a purpose of that. And this one sits there on top, like that. So when you push it down like this, it pushes down on that. So the chip breaker is pressed down hard against the flat side of the iron, and it leaves no gap between the chip breaker and the iron for chips to go inside there, which is not ideal. I'm just looking in the gap there to see if I see any light between that and that. And right along the middle there is absolutely nothing. Right towards the end here and here there's a little bit of light, but it shouldn't affect me anyway, because all the action happens in there. It doesn't usually happen in the ends. But if I find that I'm getting bits caught in there underneath, firstly, if you get bits of chips of wood getting caught between the chip breaker and the iron, then you can't play, it won't plane anymore. So you've got to open it up, take the chips of wood out, and you think, why the hell is that happening? It's because the iron is not flat. So, since we're talking about it, I will take it out again and I will show you how you flatten it. No use leaving the job half done, right? It's very simple how you flatten it. This is soft steel, so be careful. So, am I working it? Am I not working it? How effective am I? You can't tell, because it's just shiny metal. So, where exactly am I filing it down? Don't know. Can't tell. Because it's just shiny metal. Doesn't matter how much you... Still shiny metal. So, you mark it with a Sharpie. It says thicker on this side than it is on this side. But it doesn't matter. It's going off here. This is the guide, right? So it's flat, and I know this is flat and straight because it's melamine. So I'm just putting it there. I'm making sure that it doesn't slide up or down, because the further up it goes, it changes the angle, and the further out it goes, it changes the angle again. So you find the spot, and it doesn't matter, it's arbitrary. And then you just slide it up and down. Nice. Straight, flat, even, sharp as hell, so be careful. They get very sharp. How far is that in? Yeah, about the same. Oh, super smooth and sharp, so be careful. Had a burr on it. But you want that sharp. Does it have to be razor sharp? No, not really, but you want it sharp. Remember, the iron is sharp, so keep that away, the chip breaker away from the iron. You want it to be parallel, both parallel. Okay, I tighten it like an idiot before adjusting it. Again, 1 millimeter, no more than 1 millimeter away from the edge. Any more than that, no good. If you get in tear out, sometimes you're planing a piece of wood. See, this has got a knot here, right? So this is actually coming up. The grain of this wood is coming up like that towards, because the branch came out of it. So the grain is coming up like that. So when you're planing, coming this way, it'll plane super smooth till it hits a knot. A lot harder. That's like concrete. But then once you hit here, because the grain is going that way, you start breaking that. So then you get massive amount of tear out coming out of here if you continue. So when you got a knot like that, you got to plane this way, and then you got to plane this way, right? And that's how you prevent tear out, unless you do as I suggest and have that 1 millimeter sticking out. And when you put it in the plane, you barely have this sticking out of the bottom. So for that purpose, I would use my other one that's already set up like that, so they're barely sticking out. And you plane it slowly, and you don't go in like that. You go in kind of sideways, not sideways this way, but sliding like that. All right, and that slices like cheese. That barely sticking out the bottom of the sole, and that just 1 millimeter past the chip breaker, and you will get, I guarantee you, if this is sharp and you're doing it slowly, I guarantee you will get zero tear out from here. Zero tear out. Even if that's hardwood, doesn't matter. You set it up like that and you will get no tear out. So, chip breaker up, hump up, like that, screw head down. Perfect. See how I told you that moves? That's how you get it squared to the bottom of the sole. Not quite so perfect now, are you? Okay, now this, the yoke, see that? Those round bits have to go in here. So as this slides up and down, it moves this up and down with it. And remember when I said this has got a reverse thread. So you put it in there. What I'll do first, put a bit of oil in there. What the hell? Bit of oil in there. See where the yoke sits in there. See what it does? That's advancing the iron, and that's retracting the iron. See how clever this is? Before that it was all done with tapping with a hammer and a wooden wedge, and Mr. Bailey came up with this idea, and that's why Stanley tried for years unsuccessfully to buy this patent off him, and he kept on telling him to shove it and piss off. Get out of my workshop! You know, until after he passed, they continued to nag, and eventually Mrs. Bailey sold it to them with a condition that her husband's name goes on every plane, and that's why it says Bailey there. What do you think, guys? That was all kind of rusty on the side. That was broken, and you know it was in fairly good condition. It had a bit of rust in the body, but look at it. Have a look at this. Okay, I was talking to you. Let's take everything out of the way. What do you think? Have a look at that. What a machine. Anyway, what do you think? What do you think? How good did this turn out? You saw the way it was before. And it wasn't like in a super bad condition, but you saw what it was like before. Look at all the shiny bits. I told you the brass looks so good because it looks like it's gold once you clean it. All the screws and bolts, everything is just nice and shiny, been cleaned up and oiled, and the brass, I didn't have to clean the two brass nuts on the top here, but that I had to clean up because it wasn't that shiny. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't that shiny. But how nice is it? Bit of excess oil in there, which is good. I don't care about excess oil. You can always wipe it down. Okay, so what haven't I done? I've oiled the shit out of everything here, including the threads of these bolts that go in there. What I haven't done is oiled the body of the plane. What do you think? How pretty does that look? I think it turned out an absolute gem. There is now, other than this, which might not even be a problem, but other than this, there is no problems with this plane. It's sharp. It's ready to go right now. It's sharp. It's clean. All the rust has been taken off it. And this is my baby. They're both mine, but this is my first one that I spoke about, that I restored. It's all dusty now. I need to clean. It's got a little bit of rust on the surface here. Yeah, I just need to clean it up, give it a good, take it all apart, give it a good clean, re-oil everything. There's nothing rusty on this. But look how nice they look. That's what I'm talking about. This is the way a tool should be. That's not actually the oil that does that. It's actually because I've sanded this. You know, and it's all residue that will come off in time. That's why you do with a scrap of wood. So now there's nothing happening here. So you start forwarding this. Nothing. Okay. Can you hear it? A little bit more. Whoops.
What?